surprising trend about the US is so far away from the consideration stage, and it's been one of my biggest insights I've ever seen. And I just recently started like writing essays in my blog, but this is gonna be something which people never expected to see, that US market, even though everyone is saying, okay, affiliation is big, at some point there is maybe a decline, but it's so far away from going to that consideration stage compared to the other markets.
This podcast is brought to you by Pragmatic Solutions, the leading iGaming PAM platform with a modular approach, including many benefits like a fast, secure, and scalable API-based platform, integrated with all major third-party products and services. Make sure you head over to Pragmatic Solutions and join our smart thinking.
This podcast is brought to you by Pragmatic Play, a leading game developer providing player favorites to the most successful brands across the industry. With an award-winning multi-product portfolio of slots, live casino, bingo, virtual sports, and more, Pragmatic Play is powering up new possibilities of play through one single API. Visit pragmaticplay.com and discover your favorite every time.
Well, Dmitry, the man of the hour, actually I would easily say, the most sought after person in the entire iGaming industry right now. I am very lucky to have you right here in the studio. How are you doing today, Dmitry?
It's great. First of all, thanks a lot for kind words, and thanks a lot for inviting me. It's a pleasure. We did one podcast before, purely online, and it's a great experience to be here in this beautiful studio and sit right in front of you, and I think it's going to be a great one.
Yeah, face-to-face always much better for sure. And
yeah.
The reason that you are the man of the hour to some extent now is that you launched an extremely interesting startup last week called Blask that we are going to dive into in a little bit. It's set to really revolutionize the industry, and you were teasing about that product, and you were saying this is going to change the industry, and I was reading it and I'm like, oh yes, Dimitri, I'm sure it's going to do it. But then when I got the demo of it, it was just absolutely awesome. So I'm looking forward to talk a little bit more about that soon. But Dimitri, first and foremost, for those who don't know you, can you talk a little bit more about your background and just introduce yourself a bit more?
Yeah. So I'm, sometimes it's scary when I'm saying this, but I'm in gaming for more than 17 years, and I started my journey all the way back when I was 17. I started playing online poker. I then started creating affiliate websites. I sold a few of my first affiliate websites when I was 19 years old.
Oh, wow.
And then I was always like building new companies, experimenting, mostly affiliation, infrastructure. I've done a little bit of a stuff on online poker scene when it comes down to B2B products. Then I worked for a few crypto companies when there was a crypto boom. We raised some ICO money, and it was a great learning as well. And then I joined Parimatch, end of 2018. I joined Parimatch. They were expanding into international markets. They started with Africa. They had one main market, which was Tanzania. So I joined them and pretty much co-led the whole international markets expansion of Parimatch for 5 years now. So, and I left December last year and started my own journey. I mean, not really started, but I'd say restarted my journey, because, most of my life I was an entrepreneur, I'd say experimenter, and I was always, trying to find new ways on how to do, old things, trying to come up with some crazy ideas, experimenting, not being afraid to, fail, or not being afraid to look stupid at some point. And I think this led me to where I am right now, and so I started my own investment company now. It's not really an investment company, but it's like a mix of a managing group and investment company. So we're investing into affiliate companies. We're helping them grow, enter new markets, become more operationally efficient, help them find new ways on how to monetize their audience, because, especially now, with the Google updates, a lot of companies, they've seen how fragile their business model is when they're only relying on the Google and the SEO. So that's what I found to be one of my really big expertise points, where I understand on how to build a community, how to monetize this community, how to bring in added value to your SEO driven product. So I've created like this company, hired a lot of smart people to help me out on to managing, because this is something I've never done in the past, and this is like a big learning curve for me. Like at next event, I had a chat with a few like incredible people, and I even said like 15 minutes with some of the people who are went through the same journey I'm at right now is just changing my perspective on things. And sometimes having a chat with someone who's experienced replace you like hundreds of hours reading books or listening to the podcast. So this is where I am right now.
Yeah, it's an awesome journey, Dmitry, and I remember the first time you reached out to me actually was when we attended the first Sigma Dubai event. Where we met back in the day, and it's been great to get to know you since then for sure. And I want to stay on this topic of investing. So is there a particular long-term goal or ultimate goal that you have with your investments that you do? Are you trying to create like an ecosystem, or is it more that like companies that you believe in, companies that you're passionate about, you want to make them better? How do you think about these opportunities?
Yeah, that's a really great question, because I'm not obviously the wealthiest guy in the world, and
he says sitting in the Burberry shirt.
I just love this color and this brand. I mean, when I was a kid, everyone, I was, playing football, watching these hooligan movies. I was like, I'm going to wear that one day. Yeah. I realized that my investment is not going to change their world, right? But what's going to change the world for them is my advice, my network, my vision, my understanding of a certain elements of the business they never thought of, right? And somehow, one very smart guy helped me to actually try to build that USP. And he said, his name is Jeffrey Haas. He's been my mentor for many years, and he's a great friend of mine.
He's amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean,
he is awesome.
I mean, every hour I'm spending with him, I'm feeling blessed. Honestly, his vision, his understanding of the industry, finding connections between very simple touch points and creating a meaningful new third points, it's insane. So, and he's told me why don't you go and reach out to a few friends of yours who run their businesses, who might struggle right now, who might be challenged by the new circumstances of the industry, of the business, of the environment, and to try to pitch them your help, right? And I think I reached out to 5 or 6 people, and all of them said, let's go. So yeah, all of them, they said wow, it's so excited. We're so excited. It's a very interesting concept, because a lot of people were coming to us and saying, okay, let us buy 10% of stake. Let us buy 100% of your company. So no one actually came and said them listen, I will give you money, first of all, not because this money will change your life, right? But because I want to be a partner in your business. But apart from that, we'll help you do A, B, C, D, E. And for many of them, the points which I was coming up with, they were just crucial at that particular point of their business development. And they were okay, wow, how did you understand these points? I was because I was on both sides of the kind of industry, being an affiliate, being an operator, and understanding the pain points from 2 sides. And for some of them, it was their business diversification, how to start making money with the new traffic sources, how to enter new territories with the websites we've got, how to start building our brand, as the company, because we've been, ghosts forever. So, and I came up with a very hands-on, unique proposal to these guys to help them to grow their business. And after that, we started deconstructing business completely, literally tearing them apart, talking with, pretty much every single employee, with shareholders, C-level guys. And coming to your question where, what is the end goal? The end goal is obviously to sell it in the next 3 to 5 years, for example, or to be able to become this big, to start even consolidating companies underneath one of these. And the idea was also to build the ecosystem of synergetical companies. So not just invest, okay, let's invest into like 3 SEO-driven companies. Nope. Invest into one SEO-driven company, one performance marketing affiliate, invest into sports marketing agency. Okay, then how do we connect all of them into like synergetical like triangle, for example? What this company can do to that company, and what are the unique knowledge and opportunities each of these companies, they're coming up with together. So it was pretty much the idea, and with this approach, I've realized that we've reached the full capacity almost instantly, because this hands-on, like down to details approach is very tough to scale, right? And we've got 8 companies. Then I said, okay, we stop. Then we got to 11 companies. I said, now we stop for sure. And it was very tough to say stop, because a lot of these people, they were coming and saying, we want to give you equity for free. Because we've seen because we've seen what you've done to these guys. They said like you've done some crazy stuff. We want you to do the same to us. And and then I was like, well, probably we'll launch a season number 2 or how to call it, where we will probably build a little bit of a team inside, because now we got, I think, 18 people. A lot of these people I hired, they work mostly on like very operational side of things, helping like with legal, implementing new infrastructure, helping with, building like finance, different things, right? And I've realized this is not scalable, absolutely not scalable. And I became a huge bottleneck myself. It's hard to reply everyone. It's hard to give everyone the same amount of attention I was giving to the first, like 5 companies. So it's becoming tough. But the goal essentially is to either sell the business, make like some really cool multiples in the next 3 to 5 years, but meanwhile have fun with good people, no douchebags, only like really good people, the people with whom you want to be spending a lot of time, the people with whom you're enjoying like, victories and defeats. So being with good people, having fun, making revenue, and multiplying, the businesses. That was the goal.
Awesome, Dmitry. Positives attract, that is. That's why people reach out to you.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the opportunities that you have within your portfolio?
Yeah. So one of the first companies I've gotten immediately is called Already Media, and this is a massive affiliate marketing company, which been like hidden for ages. And the guys were mostly, building like a list of assets, building traffic, infrastructure, and working on like a certain list of markets as an affiliates. How did I found them? Because we were like from the same country. I'm originally from Belarus, so we met these guys, I don't know, like 15 years back maybe. And when the party match started running, like some of the markets we used to run like in Asia or Africa, I knew these guys and I knew that they have some really cool traffic. So I immediately reached out to them. We started working together, and I guess this is how, by working with some companies for a long time, you not only become partners, you become like friends, and maybe even you started, thinking at the same time, about the same thing. So we've connected really well. At the moment when I left Parimatch, they were the number 1 on my list, because I knew them. I knew that the guys are doing amazing things and no one knows about them. So as the first stage of this like deconstruction process, we've identified, I think, 60 to 70 projects. So each one of these projects were like, okay, we need to assemble a team, like hire proper C-level, for this company, enter new markets, build new infrastructure. So some of the stuff we're building for them right now is also like AI driven. Some of these things are, are built to optimize the business. They're spending like, 100,000 plus every month on the content. How do we optimize it? How do we make it, more efficient? How do we scale it? So coming up with the projects like this. So they were number 1. Traffic Squad was amongst the first companies. It's a performance marketing driven affiliate focusing mostly on Google and Facebook. I knew these guys also for like 4 years plus, amazing people. I think they were amongst those who never even thought about investment. But the moment we started chatting, and I said, what I'm doing it already immediately, like, we want the same, we need the same, like, and we're now together since January, and the business is growing. We're fully rebuilding the business model of their affiliation, and probably we call it like affiliation 2.0, and we'll see how it goes, because now we have a few operators. We're running a pilot with them, but we have no idea how this is going to end, but it's going really well for now. And the third company, I'm not going to mention all of them, but the third company, which is very interesting and unique, it's called Forza Sports and Media. So these guys are from India, and they were in the sports marketing and sports management industry for ages. They're one of the few agencies in the world who work with English Premier League, La Liga, NBA, MLB, at the same time. So they were building facilities for all these companies in India. Now they've just secured mandate to make Formula One big in India, to allow Formula One to enter India, and they're the official agency of this like market entry, so which is huge, right? And my idea was to leverage their expertise and bring it into iGaming, right? How to leverage sports endorsements, media buying, how to build, long-term brand marketing strategy, because, affiliate, our industry is very closely tied to affiliation, right? And they have no idea what the brand marketing is. So my idea was to leverage their expertise and try to build that knowledge in iGaming, and also use their connections and expertise to empower all the affiliate assets I've got. So for example, with Already Media, we're now building a set of like streaming studios where we invite, like sports guests, like some big athletes, and it's like a show, like a live show where they talk about sports betting, about, like sports analytics and things like this. So this is how, pretty much one company is empowering the others. So, and obviously Blask, like we're going to talk about it later, but yeah, Blask is, I think, one of the most precious assets we've got, and it's also supplying all the projects within the group with, with market insights, with incredible information on the market trends, like which markets to enter, why these markets, which are the key brands to target in these markets, what is the audience in these markets, a lot of things like this. And, I always said that, making a research before you enter the market gonna cost you 100 times less than entering the market and then kind of revisiting what you've done and, making all these mistakes. So the cost of market research is incomparably low to the amount of investment required to enter the market.
Right, we're going to go into Blask in a little bit, but first I just want to ask you, Dmitry, you obviously are one of the people with the finger on the pulse of the industry, and you have deep knowledge, deep experience, and you've obviously been part of the industry for many years. So I just want to ask you, like, what's your overall analysis of the state of the industry at the moment, and are there any particular trends that you're looking at the moment?
Yeah. There was a really cool conversation at the next conference. We were discussing the iGaming compared to mobile gaming, and to compare to sweepstakes, social gaming, to like these three industries, right? The size of them is incomparable. If you talk about the iGaming, it's like, hundreds of millions of people. If you're talking about, mobile gaming, like casual gaming, it's like billions of people, right? But then if you start comparing the sizes of these industries and the potential, the speed of growth, etc., iGaming is actually one of the hottest right now. And I think, everyone is talking about the USA. USA is obviously one of the hottest, one of the most visible markets everyone is talking about. It's public, you have all the reports, regulators' data, etc. So it's obvious, and it's easy to understand because all the information available. But at the same time, one of the darkest kind of sides of the industry is the offshore side of things, right? Unregulated markets. And if you think about the size of these markets, it's terrifying. I mean, the size and the dynamics of growth of these markets is just terrifying, and no one is talking about it. But a lot of companies these days, they don't want to even go to regulated markets because how complicated and how competitive these markets are becoming, and the amount of wrong decision made by regulators is actually driving people to the offshore. So I think two biggest trends I spot these days, and I will also tell you why, is number one is the industry is really hot, it's growing, and the speed of growth is insane, and I think the lack of people, which is actually kind of one of the issues of the industry right now, is another example of how this industry grows this fast, because you cannot really find a good talent, and I think talent is one of the biggest issues of the industry right now. So this is trend number one, and trend number two is the offshore. And the black hat side of the industry is growing exponentially compared to the regulated one. So one of the things I was doing a lot when we were, working on like the early concepts of Blask is actually talking to gamblers, running thousands of surveys. And I've seen some of the data in the last, I think, since mid-November, I've surveyed 80,000 people. Real gamblers from all over the world, like 80,000 people, right?
Wow.
Building different surveys methodologies, building different approaches on how to analyze them, how to actually try to extract the knowledge, because sometimes the people, they don't want to, tell you more about what they ask, right? So try to extract as much as possible. And one of the trends I've spotted is people, they tend to go to unregulated side of the industry a lot, especially in the highly regulated markets like UK, Germany, for example. And a lot of operators and affiliates, they try to capitalize on that issue. And if you also looking at the keywords, non-GameStop casinos, no UKGC casinos, all that like keywords is becoming like a massive size of the chunk of all the other keywords in the specific markets. So I say this is a very scary trend, and I think this is where regulators, they need to be more onto what's going on right now, rather than sitting in their like little silo and not seeing actually what's going on in the industry for real.
Yeah. Where do you think it will all lead in the long term? So the offshore side of the industry is exploding. It's very front and center to us as industry professionals. Is it sustainable, do you think, in the long term? That gray market operators and offshore side of the industry will just continue to grow and grow and grow, considering that they are out competing the regulated operators, and it's just much easier, so to say? Like, where will it all lead?
I mean, my opinion is that it's going to continue, and the more people will start leaning towards crypto, and you can see that it's a massive trend these days. I think the more offshore side of our industry will grow, and this is thing number one. But thing number two is the gaming experience itself. People, they don't go there only because, for the sake of, being unregulated. They chase the experience they want, right? So, and our industries, I mean, this is entertainment industry. So the reason why people there, they want to enjoy, they want to stress themselves, various reasons why, but the regulated side of our industry is not allowing them to enjoy the games they want to enjoy them. So I think this is the issue number one, and not because they want to just go to like crypto offshore casinos. So this is as simple as that.
Let's move over to Blask. We've been cliffhanging this topic for a bit. So talk more about Blask. What is the company that you have started? It is obviously one of the most interesting startups that I've ever seen in the industry. Talk more about Blask. Give us the introduction and the elevator pitch.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I mean, I couldn't appreciate more your kind words all the way, and you being one of the first people to actually see it and give us this feedback. Thank you so much for it. So Blask is right now is the market research iGaming SaaS, which is powered by AI. So our idea is to build all in one kind of technology which will allow you to understand everything about day gaming in just one place. What are the hottest markets? What are the biggest operators? What are the dynamics of the markets? Which are, the affiliates who are, conquering the markets? What are the sizes of, like affiliate market? What is the size of, brand marketing effort of operators, media buying? So try to understand every single piece of the industry and to create the environment where any iGaming related professional can go and get any of the answers he's looking for. So right now, I think we've delivered a very few interesting concepts, which first of all is allowing you to understand the size of the market, dynamics of the market, understand who are the operators in these markets and what is their market share, and obviously the size of their market shares. So to do that, we studied like a lot of concepts from other niches, which were meant to help us to understand on how we can use the open source intelligence data and correlate it with the real business data. So there's been like a very few smart guys. One of them is Blask Operates. He's one of the world's most advanced marketing researchers and professors. Mark Ritson is also one of these guys. So I mean, also obviously like hundreds of other smart guys we've talked with, we've studied their like researchers, their data. And what we've done is we've downloaded every single iGaming report you got. So I think it's 9.8 gigabytes or something. So we've downloaded every single report we've got. We've got the data from like operators who shared the data with us. We had a chat with a lot of people who will to participate, like affiliates, game providers, platform providers. So pretty much anyone who wanted to be a part of that study. So after that, we've created AI-driven model which studied all the data and allow us to create a formula based on which we started then collecting all the open source intelligence data, like Google Trends, Google Keyword Planner were like two of the simplest. And I saw even guys from Eilers and Krajcik, they were using Google Trends, and they saw the correlation of the Google Trends and the shares based on the Google Trends with the real GGR data in US market, for example. So this is what we've done, pretty much the same. So we've studied all these reports, we fed them into like machine learning AI kind of algorithm. My co-founder Max, he's a brilliant tech guy, so I'm calling him young Elon Musk. So he's writing the
and
code.
His last name is Tesla as
This
well,
is
so
crazy.
This
is crazy. I don't know how it
better.
works. Yeah, I don't know how this works, but yeah, it is what it is. But so he's coding himself. He's experimenting with data. Building all these AI's algorithms. So he's a great co-founder. So he created that algorithm, and we started comparing the data. So trying to get, okay, so this is New Jersey. Okay, so what are the market shares in New Jersey? What are the dynamics, the amount of FTDs, etc., and comparing it with our data. So in some cases, we got scared how accurate it was. Sometimes it was like up to 95% of the accuracy. In some of the unregulated markets, it was like 80 to 85% of the accuracy in terms of the market share, the FTDs, the GGRs, the operators we've spoken with afterwards. So essentially, we built a way on how, by scraping the open source intelligence data, kind of refurbishing, rebuilding it, configuring it in a certain way, and then applying our formulas and algorithms on top of that, turn this into a Blask index, which is essentially like an indicator of the size of the market, dynamics of the market, capacity of the market, etc., which is very similar to like Nasdaq index, for example, or the others. And some of the conversations with the clients we're having, I don't want to mention any names, but some of them, they were looking at the data saying like, where are you getting this from? Like, are you buying this from like Sport Trader, or like what is the source of your data? Because it was that scary operate, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, hearing this kind of feedback is just like the best thing you can possibly have as the startup founder, right? Because you're literally trying to, pay your salaries, to build the momentum, and at the same time validating the idea and building the MVP. So that's pretty much the product we have, but we're still very early, and there's so many cool things we want to build, and I'm just really proud of what we're building, and I can't wait to reveal this to the world in full.
Yeah, let me, it's incredible what you have done. Let me bring an example just to kind of summarize as well from my perspective what the product is, and tell me if this is somewhat accurate. But imagine that you are an operator and you are interested in launching in Brazil. So the industry has a huge blind spot right now, which is, especially from the pre-regulated territories, it's really difficult to understand those markets without investing a huge amount of money into your own market research. The industry is still not sharing much information, especially as it pertains to these markets. So it's difficult as an operator to get a grip around these markets, other than we hear that it's really big, and that's where you need to be. But basically, through Blask, you can basically see exactly who are the operators that are active in this market, how big they are compared against each other. So who is the biggest operator, who is the 50th biggest operator, who is the 180th operator. You can see an estimation of all of their GDR in real time. And with an accuracy of like 90%.
Up to 95%,
like And you can see market trends within, so like an aggregate of all this data to see exactly how big is the market in terms of GDR and other KPIs. And this is like black magic. Like, how is this possible?
I mean, first of all, you're totally right. This is how it works, and it even works in hourly intervals.
Hourly intervals, so you can zoom in real time to see how the industry is performing in the market of Brazil.
So you're totally right. And the way it works is the open source market intelligence. So now we use all the major available for everyone sources, which we are running through our like algorithms, and then turning them into this index. But what is coming really soon is something which we call marketing mix. So this is where we're going to start getting the data from like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, other search engines. So we're going to enrich the whole the index we've got right now to try to make it even more precise, and to be able to say, all right, so the category size is that, the size of these brands is that, but then you have the social media share of voice, for example, which will also then start turning into index.
So you can do sentiment analysis to see what is the feeling around the brand, like is people feeling positively around the brand or negatively around the brand.
So, and even more, why we have this hourly data, and this is very important to the feature which is coming next. It's called sports calendar. So, for example, like you mentioned Brazil, how big is English Premier League in Brazil, and what is the impact English Premier League has on Brazil, and what is the uplift every match generates in Brazil in terms of the GGR, and then analyzing sentiment, interest, and then turning this into which markets people are more inclined to bet on in Brazil when it comes down to English Premier League.
So you were not exaggerating when you said that you are revolutionizing the industry. I mean, you're basically bringing transparency to the industry. You are basically answering all the questions that previously have been estimations and guesses and whatnot. Here is black and white transparency to the entire industry and the sentiments within it. So even if you are interested in sponsoring a football team or an influencer in Brazil, where influencers are more important, you can measure through Blask Index basically which teams are driving more traffic when they are playing, for example, to see which teams do you want to be more connected with, let's say.
Exactly, and even more. So now we operate on the country level, but we're preparing to be able to go one level down. So if it's I don't know, let's say Brazil, you have like these like states inside of Brazil. So you will be able to go on the state level and the city level to see what is the share of the market of a brand inside of the city and what is the uplift generated, let's say by one English Premier League game in a certain city. And then you can even think, okay, why? Maybe because, there is some guy playing from that city, for example. But it gives you a lot of insights on how to target your marketing campaigns around whom in which cities with precise targeting. So it gives you a lot of insights on how to build your like brand attributes around like which clubs with whom to partner, which let's say media buying rights you need to be buying for like specific countries, regions, or whatever. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, amazing. Is there anything like this in the industry? Or like, do you consider anyone your competitor? Is there anything similar to this?
Well, obviously there's been a lot of cool people do similar things in a different fashion. So there are companies like e-gaming monitor, for example. So these guys, they've built this like reports on which games by which providers are installed and how many like operators around the world. So we're also going to do that. By July, we'll have this feature available where, with the computer vision technology, we go to the website and we read the website. So every single piece of the website is read in less than 5 milliseconds. So we just scan the full website, and the computer vision technology allows us to understand what is every piece of the website means actually. So what is the bonuses these operators are using, what are the games, how they've been prioritized, etc. And then we put it in the format of the dashboards. So there's been a company doing this, like a gaming monitor. There's been a company called iGaming Tracker. They were doing similar things like this. But what I think was the real issue why they were not become this successful, and I hope that we are here creating a market standard for the market intelligence, is obviously the UX, right? And this is something which a lot of people are saying right now when they see the product. They're like, oh my God, this is like built by aliens. Obviously not, but we paid a lot of attention to the UX and user journey on how to read these dashboards and how to make fast decisions, on how to apply filters to get fast insights, because everyone is busy. And one of the key ideas we had when we were starting is, let's say someone is sending you 300 pages report, which you paid like, I don't know, 60,000 euro plus, like by Kantar, Ipsos, whatever. I mean, these are great companies. These are very smart people, one of the smartest in the world, but you don't have time to get through all the data. You don't have time to understand what's written there, and you don't have much time to get valuable insights of there. So this is what we thought is going to be a fast, interactive way and how to consume the data and make these insights fast. So we paid a lot of attention to details, user journey, where the buttons should be positioned, even the colors of the dashboards we had. So a lot of attention to these details.
Yeah. So right now, I think the Blask Index worked for something like 8 or 10 markets or something like that. How difficult is it to expand to each and every market? Is the plan eventually to cover the entire globe? What work goes into scaling the product, if you will, and into new markets?
So the idea why we decided to start with just 5 markets was very interesting. So we wanted to have one unregulated market. We wanted to have one fully regulated market with no offshore penetration. One fully regulated market with heavy offshore penetration. So we came up with the idea on we want to test the model in different environment, because the information we were getting from public reports, obviously it's applicable for mostly regulated markets. And then people, will be saying, okay, but this is not going to work in our markets. So this is why we wanted to try to stress it as much as possible. So after we've done it, we've tweaked the model. We were chatting with a lot of people, asking them feedback and trying to understand what's right, what's not. And now we built a tool which is called brand discovery. So this is a tool which allows us to identify a new brand pretty much the moment it enters any market. So how it's done? By scanning Google PPC, scanning Google rankings, scanning Facebook, Instagram, pretty much any advertising channel, and spotting new brands there. So after we do this, we add these brands to our countries list, and then boom, you have the new country. Because the moment the brand is added, we then start to go back in time, and the first date we have is 1st of January of 2016. So starting that time, we start to collect the data about the specific country. So now I think we had 5 countries. Now we added 3 more. And now we're creating a list of countries based on the requests of our customers. So I think we got 14 more countries coming in the next 2 weeks. So we already I've identified these countries. We've already added the brands using the brand discovery tool. We've collected the data, and now we're playing with this data on the back end and just trying to see how accurate the data is, and hearing the feedback from the customers who requested this country. So, and then it's going to be available to everyone. But essentially, yeah, the target is to have, I don't know how many countries, like 100 plus at least.
Yeah. And how far does the data go backwards?
2016. So, yeah, the reason why is. So one of the major sources of the information for us is Google. And Google, they constantly update their algorithms, and they constantly update the way on how they collect the data themselves. So them being is one of the main data sources for us, kind of tied us with the moment of the last biggest significant update of how the Google started calculating their data. So, and yeah, that was pretty much the point, because I think I said, like, let's go back in time and, for as long as it's possible. I think the first one was like 2012 or 11, and we've done a lot of calculations, and we realized, okay, and this is not even making sense. If you think about the state of iGaming industry in like 2011, 15 even, it's been completely different industry. So having almost like up to 10 years of historical data is cool, and even like, having, I think anything below, I think 2018, we were analyzing this data recently. In Brazil, it doesn't make any sense, for example. The market was different. There were like different payment methods, different advertising channel, like a lot of things were different, right? And, a lot of real stuff started in like 2021 maybe even. So in some of the markets, it doesn't make any sense. And if you look at some, like, I know Southeast Asian markets, you only see like 1 or 2 brands if you go back in like 2016.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And if we look at the US specifically, we have companies like Eilish and Crickets who bring transparency to the regulated part of the market, and they get official data from operators. But a big debate in the US, or not really a debate, but a big talking point in the US is the unregulated space in the US, and only estimations exist of how big that part of the market is. Do you think that for US specifically, will you be able to bring transparency in the unregulated space as well, to show exactly how big the unregulated space is, and trends backwards, and obviously now looking forward as well? Is that something you'll be able to do?
Yeah. This is coming, and US market is in our roadmap, but we want to target it in a little bit different manner, because of the state's regulation, which is different on the state level, because of a different, I'd say, stage of growth of each of one of these states. It's a little bit different in Europe. When we were building the early models, we realized that the size of the market and the stage of development of the market actually affects a lot of our data precision. So US, I think, I don't want to mention like unreal dates, but I think it's Q4, based on what I saw recently on the roadmap. But this idea about the offshore and the offshore is being requested a lot. And the first market where we're going to be releasing this is going to be Netherlands. So Netherlands is one of the, I think, world's largest offshore markets these days. And for us to understand the size of the offshore market and the framework on how to identify the offshore operators, try to estimate the size of the market, the GGR, etc., it's still like a little bit of a learning curve, and we need to analyze a lot of, historical data, regulator data, offshore data. So it's coming. So
Yeah.
Netherlands is going to be the first, and then a big milestone in August this year is going to be UK market, and then it's going to be US. So and then fill in a lot of markets in between. Africa is going to be pretty much filled, I think, in the next few months completely, and then Latin America as well.
Yeah. Do you have any insights into that data? If you look at the estimations of the size of the unregulated space in some of the regulated markets that some of the regulators themselves have said in Germany and Netherlands, in the US, when the regulators talk about channelization rates and stuff. Do you have any insights there? Like, are the estimations out there fairly accurate? Is that anything that you have any form of insight into yet? Is it too early, perhaps? Any insights in general to this space?
Yeah. So I've seen data on Netherlands last week, and I got scared.
Really?
Yeah.
Channelization rates lower than expected?
They're much higher than I expected, first of all, and the speed of growth of the offshore is much higher than I expected as well. So when it comes down to the amount of operators, it's like the whole world of difference. Like regulated versus unregulated. It's like 20 times more than regulated ones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a size of some of the operators I've seen. I mean, obviously, I don't want to tell any numbers because we still need to understand how precise the model is, but I got scared, seriously.
Yeah. So the unregulated space in the regulated markets is much bigger than what people think?
Yes, it's much bigger than people think, and the dynamics of that particular...
And it's growing much faster.
Growing much faster, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's still like incomparably small compared to, the regulated stuff of things, but... it's a scary sign on, there is something needs to be done.
Right.
And
so you can see the trend is essentially that the unregulated space is growing much, much, much faster. And if you take that forward 1 or 2 or 3 years, if that trend continues, it's not a good sign for the regulated space.
Yeah, you're totally right. So, I mean, they're pushing a lot, advertising, they're not allowing to advertise, but still, there are so many black hat techniques, and there are so many affiliates, so I don't think you can actually target this super fast, and you need to think on, what actually pushed the industry and the specific market towards the people selecting unregulated operators against the regulated ones.
I think perhaps the biggest promise that this product holds is by bringing this transparency to the industry and beyond, you can show the regulators this trend that they are not aware of. That right now we're just talking about estimated channelization rates, and that's all we know.
Yeah.
But your product will bring transparency to the point where it's impossible for the regulators to ignore the trends, and we can with much better confidence tell the regulators that this is what overregulation leads to. Look at this market compared to that market as when it comes to channelization rates, and you can quite easily see what is the right way of regulating, let's say, just by showing this data.
Yeah.
Which hasn't been available before.
You're totally right, and this is where I got reached out by one of the regulators when I shared some of the survey data. So they messaged me on LinkedIn and said, we want to talk, we want to explore more about it. So, and I'm looking forward to when we have this market in Blask, so we can have a more in-depth conversation about them seeing the real trend of their market.
Yeah. Just to start rounding things off here now, Dmitry, but I would love to ask you just what are some of the interesting insights that you have learned from the data that you are producing currently? Is there any interesting findings through Blask that have surprised you so far, or just any observations from the data that you are willing to share?
So we don't have the full picture yet on all the markets, but one of the most beautiful trends I've spotted is actually a speed of development of some of the markets I've never thought of, right? Especially in Africa. A lot of people, they talk about, Africa being a very potential market, tomorrow's market, but it's today's market, right? And when we were getting requests from clients to start adding African markets, I was surprised myself, with the size of the market, dynamics of the market, and when we started surveying people. A lot of industry professionals, they say, okay, people in Africa, they're gambling because they want to make money. But our surveys showed a different trend, saying that people, they really want to either like escape from reality, and this is one of the most common answers in Europe, for example. People, they want to escape from reality to enjoy, their time off with, playing slots or crash games, whatever. So we spotted the same trends in Africa, which is a good sign because, everyone's seen these like images of people, poor people gambling and all of that. So, and it's not the case as far as we've realized. So this is trend number one. Trend number two, and we've yet to release that feature, and honestly, I'm waiting for it myself a lot, is a size of affiliate category in the market. And I'm gonna tell you some of the teasers here, but in some of the markets, and it's very closely tied to the development of the market. So let's say if the market is in its very early stage, people they have no idea about iGaming, right? So when the market is at its very early stage, the moment brands they start advertising, what people know, only brands, right? So it's a very entry stage of the market development. So the moment when they start spotting more brands, they start thinking, okay, what is the brand A is different to brand B, right? And they're thinking, okay, I go and start asking Google why are these brands different? Which are the bonuses better? What is the better sports book? Where are the best odds, etc. So this is like a stage 2 of the market where you come from the awareness to consideration. And the consideration stage is where actually most of the affiliate websites kicks in. Surprising trend about the US is so far away from the consideration stage, and it's been one of my biggest insights I've ever seen. And I just recently started like writing essays in my blog, but this is gonna be something which people never expected to see, that US market, even though everyone is saying, okay, affiliation is big, at some point there is maybe a decline, but it's so far away from going to that consideration stage compared to the other markets. Africa is another example. It's a very young market where people, they know brands more than the category itself. In some of the markets, I was chatting with Sam Sadi, for example, live score search query is actually bigger than, anything I think it's Nigeria. It's bigger than Google in Nigeria. So I think that's Nigeria, but we had this conversation. So this is the power of the brands locally, right? But, the category is not yet there. So, and this is where, affiliation will kick in. Whether this will happen next year or in 2 years or 3 years, I don't know. But this is the phenomenon I want to study myself on, how the market's development stage looks like, how many years or, I don't know, like brands or marketing dollars needs to be invested into the market in order to shift the market from this awareness stage into consideration stage where the affiliation kicks in.
Amazing. Final question for you today, Dmitry. Where do you see Blask in 3 years' time?
It's a great question. Obviously, highly profitable company with a lot of cool people. Jokes aside, I want us to build a market standard. So this is my biggest goal, to create a new approach on how people perform research in iGaming industry, and to create a market standard and to make Blask pretty much equal to market research in iGaming, and to make Blask Index the ultimate measurement, the ultimate measure of any iGaming market in the world, any market share of any iGaming company in the world. So this is my target for the next 3 years. A lot of people, they say, okay, we want to be acquired, we want to be this and that. We're not setting targets like this. We just want to make a really good product. And like educate the industry and create a really, I'd say, unique and very advanced way on how you perform data research and market research in iGaming.
Awesome, Dmitry. Well, I think you are on the cusp of changing the whole industry, and you absolutely were spot on when you said that this is the most interesting startup that will come in many, many years. I'm super excited to have had the opportunity to see it and to follow your journey, Dmitry. And I'm just happy when good things happen to good people, my friend. So
thank you.
Thank you for doing something good for the industry, and
thank you so much.
And thank you for coming here today as well.
Thank you so much, mate. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome, Dmitry. That was fucking awesome.